And the new heavyweight champion of the world is...
I called it.
Football 24/7 with NFL insider John McMullen. Eagles camp recap, day number 6. And the new heavyweight champion of the world is...
I called it. Jordan Mailata. That's going to surprise a lot of people who I pointed out all these reasons why Andre Dillard would get the benefit of the doubt. And by the way, he did, Krause. We've been rotating at left tackle since day 1 of camp. Andre Dillard got the first opportunity on day 1. Day 2, it's Mailata. Day 3, back to Dillard. Day 4, Mailata, so forth and so on. Day 6 was Jordan Mailata's turn with the first team. Pads came on for the first time today. He showed off why he's the physical specimen that he is. 6'8", about 370. I'm going. He's gained some weight, if anything. Just a huge, powerful man. Really impressive today. And Andre Dillard, basically the exact opposite. So I'm being a little facetious because, all of my colleagues called it long ago. Still the only guy that matters is Howie Roseman. We know Andre Dillard's a first-round pick. We know Jordan Mailata is in a contract year, and left tackles get paid a lot of money, and the Eagles are going to have to pay Jordan Mailata a lot of money in an extension if he becomes the starter. So there's all these sort of ancillary reasons why they wanted Andre Dillard to be the starter of this team at left tackle. Can't play, Krause. To this point, he can't play. And Jordan's a better player.
Why did Jordan, John, look so good today? What was it? Was there one thing specifically that made him look so good?
Well, he had a pancake block on Brandon Graham, and you don't see that very often. I got to say, Brandon has turned into one of the best edge players in this league for a long time now. And Jordan just flattened him. In fact, I can't remember ever seeing it at practice, to be honest with you. So that's the kind of physical ability he has, the physical strength, the power. And then I was talking to Josh Sweat the other day, who I've said to me has been the best player in camp. And he just said he's so big. It's like trying to circumvent, a planet to get to the quarterback. So you can't get through him. He's too strong. You can't get around him. He's too big. The final piece of the puzzle is technique. Jordan had a lot of problems last year with speed rushers. He seems to have improved dramatically. He's got a chance to be a really good player. Something, Brian Baldinger, guys like him and Ross Tucker have been talking about since he was a rookie. Well, they jumped the gun, but here we are in year 4. He's turned it into a pretty good player. No question about it.
Eagles camp got underway this morning again, John, with I'm presuming or assuming the coach's press conference before the camp. Was it head coach Nick Sirianni today at the podium?
Yeah, it was Nick Sirianni. And, it wasn't. I think probably because I was on Birds 365 this morning, and I was trying to give day 5 to the offense. I was trying. I said it was close. I'm going to give it to the offense. So we asked Nick Sirianni who won day 5 because he grades these practices, offense versus defense. He said defense, 27-24. So he grades it by play, who wins that particular play. So it was close, but the defense won again. Defense is dominated in this camp, Krause.
I want to ask you about Jalen Reagor, because I guess now with Devonta Smith nursing his sprained MCL, Jalen Reagor, it's necessary for him, John, to step up. It's necessary for him to try and be what he can or cannot be. I'm wondering, two-part question, how did he look? And can head coach Nick Sirianni, because of his experience with receivers, can he have an impact on Jalen Reagor, do you think, in a positive way?
Well, it could. I mean, you have to understand that Nick Sirianni, his background is a wide receiver. He played wide receiver in college at Mount Union. He coached wide receiver earlier in his career. That was sort of like where he started, where he kick-started his career at that particular position. So he has an expertise in it. I can say early on, no, it hasn't had a big impact. Jalen has not impressed. Now, hopefully, it's because of the off the field issues. He's had some, obviously, a close friend of his was murdered recently. He had a difficult time handling that mentally, failed his conditioning test, wasn't able to go till about really day four, day five in team drills practice. So he's behind the eight ball from that standpoint. He was out there today with the first team. The first team was Travis Fulgham and Jalen Reagor and Greg Ward in the slot. It tells you how badly this team needs Devonta Smith healthy and ready to go for week one. And the good news from that standpoint is Devonta was out there before practice, still catching balls with the jugs machine. He was doing a little stretching. So, if it were a more serious MCL strain, the Eagles wouldn't let him near the field. So that part of it is really, really good news. But, Nick Sirianni, it's interesting, is getting to the same place Doug Peterson got every single year. And I've talked about this a lot. Doug Peterson wanted to play more 11 personnel, more 3 receiver sets. And that was his mindset entering each season. And he would get to the season and say, nope, my tight ends are better. Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz, they're better. They got to be on the field. Nick Sirianni still has Zach Ertz. It's still, as long as he's here, he's going to put more 12 personnel on the field. He's going to use the tight ends more because we're in this same, it seems like we're in this same cycle again. The wide receivers just aren't good enough.
Is there a daily update provided by the team, John, for Devonta Smith or for Kerrigan or for anybody who has had a camp injury so far? Is that something that's normal? Do you get some sort of an update daily or no?
Yeah, we get an update daily, a pre-practice report. I post it every morning on Twitter, so people want to go to my social media, they can see it there at JF McMullen. You see the current process. He's listed as week to week. It's 2 to 3 weeks was the sort of the outline. The Eagles don't like timetables, so they're not going to come out and say that publicly. But that's what they're thinking behind the scenes. I don't think you're going to see much of Devonta Smith in the preseason, to be honest. But he should be ready to go week one. The question is, can a rookie be ramped up and ready to go for week one of an NFL season with so few practice reps? And because those are valuable for young players. That was Brandon Brooks, for instance, who continues to sit with a hamstring strain. I'm not concerned about Brandon Brooks. If he's healthy and ready to go week one, with a rookie player, I think you need some reps. I think you need to get involved in practice during training camp. And unfortunately, Devonta's going to take a little bit of a step back, I think.
There was a little bit of an interesting debate earlier this afternoon, earlier today on the middle with Eitan Chander, Harry Mays, and the discussion was about Barrett Brooks. And that discussion was opposite, for Eitan at least, of what you just said. You're not concerned. Eitan is concerned. Is there any reason at all, despite, even though Barrett has said when he spoke to the media yesterday, even though Barrett has said he's okay, no big deal, and I'm paraphrasing, is there any reason to be concerned at all about him at this point, or no? Eitan thinks there is. Do you?
Well, I was confused. You said, because I'm used to saying Barrett as well.
Yes. Brandon Brooks, yeah. Excuse me.
Because Barrett, our good friend, obviously, on the show with Eitan. But no, Eitan should not be concerned. If you want to be concerned about his health long term, if you want to be concerned about that part of it, okay, I understand that. I'm just saying, if he's ready to go, if he's healthy, he doesn't need the reps. So it's what I'm trying to say is, you can be worried about his health because of his age, because of his injury history. All of that is legitimate. I'm saying if he is healthy, he's going to be ready to go. He's going to be able to play at a high level. He doesn't need the reps. He's had enough reps in the NFL. So it's sort of like depending how you look at it. I understand why people are concerned about him from a health perspective, but from a sharpness perspective, from understanding what he has to get done in week one, understanding, his role on the offensive line, I'm not concerned with that at all.
Everything you need to know about Eagles camp, a recap with NFL insider John McMullen every night here on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. We'll pause for just a second to share some big news today pushed out across the JAKIB Media YouTube network. Some of the trades in Philadelphia picked up the announcement of the new live post-game show. John McMullen, one more responsibility added to your many responsibilities. But Derek Gunn, Mark Farzetta, of course, Lane Johnson will be contributing weekly post after the game from outside the locker room. Devin Caney will be part of the show. And, of course, you will be reporting from the stadium, both home and away, full coverage of the entire season. Pretty excited about it. I hope you are. We're thrilled to have you as part of the new live post-game show.
I'm always thrilled. You know me, Krause. All I do is work. I'm always thrilled to cover the NFL. I'm very lucky to cover the NFL. You see how many people want to get down there, cover Eagles practice. But beyond that, obviously, we're doing exciting things here with JAKIB Media, here with our YouTube channel to get Lane Johnson involved, Derek Gunn. We just talked about Barrett Brooks on the middle. Yeah, it's great coverage here. And you see training camp tonight, as I like to call it, on Football 24/7. You get more in-depth coverage of what's going on with the Philadelphia Eagles here, I think, than anywhere else. And I didn't even bring up Birds 365 every morning with Jody McDonald. So if you like the Eagles, park it here.
Yep, no doubt. Good. Well stated. Nice job, John. Let's continue on with our recap of day 6, the first day of the pads. The pads came out and they played today with pads. Day 6, Jalen Hurts. I almost think, and maybe I shouldn't presume, that Jalen did not have a good day because the talent that he has isn't that good. So it's very difficult, no matter how good you are, to have a good day. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I don't think he had a bad day. In fact, Zach Ertz is one of those players. I mean, Zach had a big play down sort of a crossing route that ended up down the field. He continues to get more first-team reps as the receivers kind of prove that they don't deserve as many first-team reps. There's some positives. Quez Watkins is a young receiver who's played really well over the past few days. Jalen himself, I think, has improved dramatically from day one. I think his best day was probably day 5. Wasn't quite that good today. Wasn't bad by any stretch. But I think there's a little bit of a concern at the wide receiver position. I think without Devonta Smith out there, it sort of highlights just how precarious it is. And we talk about Devonta Smith going back to the draft, and we mentioned 166 pounds and how slight he is. Tremendously talented, but here we are, and he's already got a knee sprain in NFL practices. I mean, you talked about Brandon Brooks and his injury history. You have to be concerned about Devonta Smith because of his size. And I know Jody Mack is not going to like that, but here we are. 4 days in, we got a sprained knee.
John, what do you see in terms of the conversation between head coach Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts? Do you see interaction? Do you see conversation happening during practice, after a play? Any of that? Is there any of that coach up going on, or am I way off base and all that stuff happens in the room?
Oh, no. Nick is very hands-on, especially with the wide receivers and quarterbacks. And I mean, you have to be. If you're an offensive head coach, you better be involved with the quarterbacks. So, yeah, I mean, the Eagles are very involved, and he's talked about it a lot. I mean, I think the biggest thing is to get him a little bit more consistent throwing the football from their perspective. And they're working to do that every day. It's not just Nick Sirianni, quarterbacks coach Brian Johnson, the offensive coordinator, Shane Steichen, the passing game coordinator, Kevin Patullo. So all of them are involved with trying to get Jalen Hurts up to a level where he can throw for 65% completion percentage. And for people who say you can't teach accuracy, they should look in Buffalo and look at Josh Allen, because he came into the NFL as a guy who the reputation was he had a huge arm, and he certainly does, but he wasn't very accurate. And he certainly wasn't very accurate in his rookie season. He got progressively better. Last season, he was one of arguably the second best quarterback in football, and he's completing passes at a high level. So it can be done, and that's what the Eagles are working on.
Of course, you have to have the talent to be able to receive the football, so the quarterback can look like he's more accurate than he actually is. Correct?
That's part of it. Yeah, I mean, Stephon Diggs, I used that Buffalo comparison, was huge for Josh Allen. I mean, you got a true top number 1 receiver who just had a phenomenal year, and that's what the Eagles were kind of hoping Devonta Smith will become a little bit, maybe not that good as a rookie, but to get to that point somewhere in the near future, that's the hope. And from that standpoint, you hope everybody else gets a little bit better, because they're sort of knocked down the totem pole a little bit. In other words, Jalen Reagor doesn't have as much pressure on him as a number 2 receiver, Travis Fulgham as a number 3 receiver, and so on down the line. Those guys don't see as much attention, and it makes their job easier. Now, all of a sudden, at least for the short-term future, who's the number 1 receiver on this team? I'll ask you, Krause. who's the number one receiver without Devonta Smith. Today was Travis Fulgham. You can go around. There's 31 other teams in the NFL. Every single one of them has a better receiver than Travis Fulgham.
Duplicate.
I mean, I don't know how else to say it.
Duplicate of the 2020 season playing out in front of us in 2021. Same story a year ago. Different quarterback started the season. We all know that, but same story. If you don't have weapons, you're gonna hold on to the football. If you're holding on to the football, you're gonna throw interceptions. If you're not throwing interceptions, you're gonna get beat up and end up hurt, and then you're gonna get traded, and the team's gonna eat your big contract, and off you go. That's the way it plays out. Last thing on Jalen Hurts. Did he speak today, John?
No, he spoke yesterday.
Okay.
So we got to hear from Jalen yesterday. He's an even-keeled guy. He's just never too high, never too low. I think he's got a good personality to be a quarterback in this league, to be a successful quarterback in this league. I always say about Jalen Hurts, he's like 180 from typical young players. Typically, and what I mean by that is you know if a guy has the physical ability to play in the NFL. You can get it if you cover this league for a long time. Certainly coaches know pretty quickly, okay, this guy's got it, this guy doesn't have it. In Jalen Hurts' case, what you're always worried about with young players elsewhere is the intangible stuff. So at the quarterback position, you're talking leadership, you're talking work ethic, you're talking, that ability to handle the media, that just what I talked about, the even-keeled nature that he has. You don't know if those guys can handle it. He's the exact opposite. He's got all that stuff. You don't know if he's got top-tier NFL skill level to succeed at quarterback. That's what we're all waiting for and to see. Not as a runner. He can do it as a runner. We know that. Can he do it consistently as a passer? I don't think anybody knows that. I certainly don't know it. Nick Sirianni doesn't know it. And it's a work in progress.
What happens if they figure that answer out to be no?
Well,
3
that's
games
why
into the season.
Howie Roseman has already set up that insurance policy. I mean, you might have to go through the whole season. If you're talking about benching for Joe Flacco, I think the only way Jalen gets benched is if you have a disastrous start. And by disastrous, I mean 1-5, 0-6, just dismal from an offensive perspective. Then they might let Joe take over to put more credibility in the offense and just get to the end of the season, get to the draft or trade for a quarterback. But Howie Roseman's already set up that insurance policy. Now, unfortunately, they took a little bit of a hit with the Carson Wentz injury. They might not have that third first-round pick. And we'll see how that shakes out, because there were some positive developments coming out of Indianapolis. They said the surgery went pretty well, so maybe he's back on the earlier part of the timetable, and there's still a potential they could get that third first-round pick. Either or, they're going to be in a position to go get a quarterback next offseason if Jalen Hurts proves that he's not the guy.
What is it, by the way, if it's not a third first? Another second?
Second round. And the silver lining to that is if the Colts are bad, it'll be a high second-round pick. And remember, if the Eagles are bad, their own pick will be a high first-round pick. So, the silver lining to things going off the rails is better draft picks.
Phew, man, I don't want to talk about that already. Week 2, day 6, and we're talking about off the rails. Hey, question on Howie. I don't know if this is normal. Is Howie always at practice? Has
Yeah.
he been at every practice every day?
I haven't seen him every day, but I don't look for him every day. Typically, he's there every day. Either sometimes he's working in his office, oversees the practice field, but typically he's on the field.
How about Jeff Lurie? Is he there?
Yeah, he's there. He was there today. When Jeffrey's in town, yeah, he's always at practice. He loves practice. Andy Weidl's always at practice. In fact, today after practice, he had a little brain trust meeting. Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman, Andy Weidl, Nick Sirianni got together on the field. We're talking for a pretty long time. So, hey, maybe they're making plans as we're talking.
I was just going to ask you, what do you think they were talking about?
Could have been what's their favorite, water ice Ritas is down there. You get your free Ritas. Could have been chicken pizzas down there. Could have been crab fries. Could have been Deshaun Watson. Could be anything.
Last couple of thoughts, John, before I let you retire for the night. We did not talk at all in this week 2, day 6 report about the defensive side of the football. I'm used to Steve Nelson conversation in these reports. Is there anything specific about how the defense looked in pads today, other than the new heavyweight champion of the world, pancaking
Brandon Graham.
Brandon Graham, thank
Jordan
you.
Mailata.
Yeah, Jordan Mailata.
Well, one of the reasons Josh Sweat, who you've heard a lot about, put Andre Dillard on skates and basically put him in Joe Flacco's lap, which is one of the reasons why Jordan Mailata is winning that left tackle equation. So Josh continues to have a great camp. Zach McPhearson is having a phenomenal camp. The rookie corner, I wrote about him on Sports Illustrated. Everybody can check that out at si.com/NFL/Eagles. Zach McPhearson, rookie corner from Texas Tech. He has gotten his hands on the football, I think, every day. If it's not every day, it's 5 out of 6. He has been a pass breakup machine early in his NFL career. Today, he had 3 of them. He dropped 2 interceptions that would have been pick sixes. He's been very impressive. The defense as a whole, one sort of bad note, Davion Taylor, who's been dealing with a quad, had to leave practice early, couldn't finish. So he aggravated that. That's a shame because he had a very good start to camp, and the Eagles were giving him an opportunity to be a starting linebacker on this team. We'll see how quickly he can get back on the field. Ryan Kerrigan also hurt his thumb on Monday. He was out there stretching, doing some individual work, but he'll be out for a little while.
Any update on that with Kerrigan, John? Was it anything
specific?
He's
day to day, nothing. He was out there, so he'll probably be cautious, as you are. But another guy, 32 years old, 95.5 sacks. He knows how to play. I wouldn't be concerned about Ryan Kerrigan. So they'll be very cautious with him. And yeah, they kind of broke out the Ryan Kerrigan role, at least the one I think he's going to play. And they had Joe Osman and Jannard Avery, sort of as hybrid stand-up rusher linebackers. And I think that's going to be Ryan Kerrigan's role.
Has Alex Singleton returned to practice yet, or is he still in COVID protocol?
He is still in COVID protocol, which tells you he's not vaccinated because it's been so long. Look, that's a political issue, and there's, I know Minnesota, for instance, is having a lot of problems. They're at 64%. The entire quarterback room got shut down. But I will say, if Alex Singleton continues to go down this road, we're talking about a guy who everybody thought was going to be a starting linebacker. He might not even make this team.
And he didn't miss a game. And he didn't miss a game last year, did he?
No. Well, he became a starter, I think, started 11 games, so it would have been week 6 or so. But he was a special teams player. Obviously got his opportunity through injury and was great. He was probably their best linebacker. But, if you're not there, the best ability is availability. And if you're not going to be able to be there, teams around this league, not just the Eagles, are going to look in different directions.
But John, is it because the protocol mandates that you remain there for a certain number of days, or is it because he's not vaccinated and he's choosing not to get vaccinated?
Well, the protocols are clear. They're softer for vaccinated. If he was vaccinated, he'd already be back. So there's 3 players: Andrew Adams, Matt Leo, and Alex Singleton. None of them have been back to this point. We're now at, as we said, we're talking about day 6. They had an off day, so we're 7 days. The protocols for those who are vaccinated are much shorter. So if they were able to test, get 2, I believe, 2 negative tests, they could get back on the field as vaccinated. So it's a clear indication. One thing I will say, and I know we got to go, this is kind of goofy, because I'll tell you one thing I never hear from anybody, whether it's objective reporters, like I like to consider myself, all the way to the most activist of activists. Nobody ever asks one simple question, Joe. How's Alex doing? Is he healthy? And you know the reason why? Because they know he's healthy. These are all young people in very good shape that are not gravely affected by this particular virus. So at times I ask myself, what the heck are we doing here? And my answer is, I have no idea.
Time for your game ball before we say goodbye.
Zach McPhearson. Gave it to him today. A couple other I thought about giving it to Jordan Mailata. I thought about giving it to Jason Huntley, the running back. He had a big run, about a 60, maybe 50. Oh, definitely over 50. It's tough to see when you're on the field at times, but he has really flashed his speed. But 3 pass breakups and the consistency that Zach McPhearson has played with early in camp has been pretty impressive.
Football 24/7 with NFL insider John McMullen across the JAKIB Media YouTube channel. Eagles camp recap, day 6. We'll be right back here tomorrow night. Thank you, John.
Thanks, Krause.
All right, until next time. Good night, everybody.
Today's show on the JAKIB Media channel. Listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.